We all know that there is a tier of 4 quarterbacks, and there's some variance within that tier, depending upon your perspective, right? But there is clearly a top 4 set of QBs in this draft class. It's Stroud, Young, Levis, Richardson, some particular order and configuration. That really doesn't feel like that should be up for debate. Like, it's those 4 guys in some type of order that will be the first 4 quarterbacks drafted this year. They're the ones with the most attention. They're the ones that are viewed to have the most upside. They're the ones that are viewed to have the best projectable skills. So what you've got is a situation where you have more quarterback desperate teams than you have top tier available quarterback prospects in the draft, which to me begs a very interesting question then, is who is QB5? Relatively speaking. Who is that guy that's that next tier? That guy that could be tantalizing for a team mid to late day 2, maybe early day 3, that they say, hey, you could be a backup now and maybe has some upside in future starter potential. And I've seen quite a bit of people talking about Hendon Hooker being that guy, being QB5, I've even had people tell me like, hey, you're going to like Hooker. You're going to be impressed with him. You're going to be high on him. So I was very curious to really dive deeper into him. Obviously I'd watched months ago the performance against Alabama, which I felt was more of like a Jalen Hyatt was a frickin' beast and Alabama's secondary was really dumb, more than I viewed that as like a tremendous Hendon Hooker performance. But I was like, hey, that's watching the game in real time, right? Let's come back a few months later and really study and dig deeper. And I have to say that I'm really surprised that Hooker gets as much buzz as he gets. I'm not here calling him a terrible prospect, but the way he's been referred to and the way he's been talked about, yeah, consider me not sold at all. I know you look at him and you say he's got prototype size for the position. He's got very large hands. Points to a thought that he's going to be able to hold up well physically, that he's going to be a low fumble risk. He'll be able to have good control of the ball even in kind of adverse weather conditions, which is true. He's a very good athlete, big threat to get yards with his feet. And when you talk about the modern NFL, that ability to move your feet, the ability to get extra yards, be able to be a runner as well as a thrower is nice, certainly in some cases important. He also shows a willingness to stand tall in the pocket, throws the deep ball to the sidelines with good touch and feel, which you have to be able to do at the NFL level. Really does well, I think, with squaring his shoulders to the target and utilizing his lower body and his throwing motion. Sometimes some of these guys coming out of college, are a little happy feet. They're a little off balance. They're a little inconsistent in terms of their footwork, in terms of their overall mechanics. I thought his were more solid than I would typically see. He did show some ability as well in 2022 to make pre-snap adjustments, to make audibles, to call out for the hot read. Really also, and this is a key thing, especially if you're looking and you're talking about risk reward. And I'm sure you're going to have some people that will grade Hooker higher than Anthony Richardson because they're going to look at Hooker and for some reason say he doesn't make many risky throws. He doesn't turn the ball over a lot. He only threw, 2 interceptions in 2022. So that's the type of guy I want to bring in. Coaches will be enamored with that, I guess. But man, oh man, what I thought I was going to see and what I actually saw were 2 entirely different things. And let's fact check here a little bit. Hendon Hooker is going to be a 25-year-old rookie. So it does make you question, what's the real upside here? What's the real potential? Maybe he looked a little better because he was going against a bunch of kids that were 2, 3, 4 years younger than him. Right? Similar complaint about Velus Jones Jr. coming out of Tennessee last year, being a 25-year-old third-round pick wide receiver. Why the hell did it take you 6 years to have a solid season in college? Just saying. He's also coming off a torn ACL that he suffered late in the season. So you'll wonder how that's impacting his off-season work here. He's already going to be in his mid-20s when he hits an NFL camp. Yikes. Oh, but wait, there's more. His accuracy and ball placement are pretty bad throwing over the middle. I was expecting him to be a little more accurate than he was, especially with how well he took care of the ball in 2022. And I was certainly expecting to see a guy who had a better arm in terms of pure arm strength, the ability to grip it and rip it, than what he actually did. His arm strength's okay, but it's certainly not special. I would easily say that Anthony Richardson's arm and arm talent are much better. So is Will Levis. I would also counter with Dorian Thompson-Robinson, easily. And then C.J. Stroud as well. I was surprised. I thought his arm was better than it really was when I watched him closely. I said, he's kind of got a mid-arm here. And more so, he's very much a one-readed run guy. And he could also be too quick to take off and run, but, I realize part of that is the Tennessee system. But man, that is a hard projection to make and say how much of this was the system and how much of this was the talent. Because consistently, it does not matter what game you're watching. It doesn't matter if he's facing a freaking Kentucky or an Alabama or a Georgia, LSU, shit don't matter. When you look at a Hendon Hooker, the one constant you see is he is staring at the same area, the same zone on whatever play. If he starts out looking right, that's where he's throwing. If he starts out looking left, that's where he's throwing. If he starts off looking middle, that's where he's throwing. And frankly, I am amazed at how dumb some of these SEC defensive coordinators and coaches are and the players that they couldn't figure this shit out. Is it that hard? Maybe it is and I'm underselling it, but I was really unimpressed with that. I thought for a guy that's going to be freaking 25-year-old rookie in the NFL that has a few years of starting experience going back to his days here in the state of Virginia and then there at Tennessee, I was expecting to see more advanced instincts and feel for the game than what I actually got. His deep ball accuracy, not only does he not have a great arm, but his deep ball accuracy is certainly hit or miss. He'll take some avoidable sacks by holding onto the ball too long. Had some challenges throwing the ball on the move at times. We lose a little velocity, certainly lose a little accuracy. And for a guy who a big part of his game should be based on athleticism, if he struggles to throw the ball on the move, what do you make of that, right? That should be really concerning. So I get the concept of you look at Hendon Hooker initially and you may be intrigued. But I'm sorry, the more you watch him, the more you come away not as impressed. He's old for a prospect. He's coming off an ACL injury, which in the grand scheme of things isn't that much, except for the fact he's going to be a 25-year-old freaking rookie that had to take some time off to heal up his knee. And he's got middling arm strength and a bunch of other flaws you wouldn't expect for a guy that should have as much experience as he freaking does. I have real questions about whether or not he could read some more complex NFL defenses. I really do. Which is even more dangerous when you talk about he doesn't have a rocket launcher for a right arm. If you're going to be a one-read and run guy, then when you throw on that one read, you better be able to get it there in a damn hurry, and he can't. So I saw some similarities to him and Desmond Ridder, although I thought Ridder was a little bit of a better prospect overall. But Hooker is a guy I'm seeing talked about as being a round 2, maybe round 3 prospect. I looked at a guy and I saw more of a day 3 guy. I may feel comfortable drafting him in round 5, but it would not, to me, be out of the realm of possibility that Hooker wasn't drafted at all. I'm hoping he does. I think he deserves to. But I think this third round talk, the second round talk, is absolutely out of pocket. And I wonder what the hell people are seeing. I see a day 3 talent, career backup, not a guy with a lot of physical upside that could be a future starter. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Tell me where I'm wrong. Show me where I'm wrong. Because when I went back and studied him, consider me not impressed.